Investing into ETFs just became much cheaper and easier with Betashares Direct. In this video, I'll review Betashares Direct and also do a step-by-step guide how to open an account and how to use the account to invest in ETFs. But if you want to get stuck into investing, feel free to jump ahead. And just to note, this isn't a sponsored video like all my videos, just an honest review. So to start with, if you want to buy ETFs, you need to use a broker. And there are plenty to choose from, such as Commsec, Stake, Perla, Selfwealth, and plenty more. They're all pretty good and do a lot of the same thing, so it often comes down to cost, but Betashares Direct's my new favourite for these reasons. Number one, it offers zero brokerage, so it won't cost you anything to buy and sell ETF. Number two, it offers fractional investing, which means you don't have to buy a full ETF, rather you can buy a fraction of one. And there's two instances where this is beneficial. Firstly, when you're investing smaller amounts. And secondly, on the flip side, when you're debt recycling. And if you don't know what debt recycling is, it's a tax strategy for Australians with a mortgage on their home. If that's you, click on the video above to learn more about it. The only downsides to Betashares Direct are, firstly, you can only buy ETFs. So this means you can't buy individual stocks. For those that don't know, ETFs are collections of individual stocks. So the ETF called A200 contains the 200 biggest Australian stocks. As an independent financial advisor, I most exclusively recommend ETFs and actually caution people away from individual stock picking. But if that's you, you might need to find another broker. And secondly, they only have apps, so there's no web edition. On their website, they say that they're going to add this in 2024, but at the moment, they unfortunately don't have one. So if you really like, I guess, trading on your desktop, you might want to opt for another broker. Another potential downside to some people is it operates on what's called a custodian model as opposed to a chess model. This means that the shares are held beneficially on behalf of you as opposed to directly by you. The custodian service, however, is provided by Citigroup, where they hold the assets separately, and Citigroup's the custodian for funds like Hostplus, which manages hundreds of billions of dollars, so they obviously aren't concerned of it, nor are the regulators. And operating on the custodian model, that's how they offer free brokerage and fractional investing, because that's not possible on the chess model. But overall, Betashares Direct make it cheaper and easier to invest, and for that reason, they're my new favorite broker. So now let's cover how to use Betashares Direct. So step one, we need to download the app. First, jump onto the App Store. So we'll go Betashares Direct Investing, and obviously open the app. Here we're just going to click Create Account. So we've created the account, so now we need to make a deposit. And this is where you can see your BSB and account number for your Betashares Direct cash account. So this is what you input into your current online banking. Obviously you want to be very careful with the account details, so it can be a good idea to copy and paste these. And also if you're transferring a large amount, it could give you a bit of comfort to transfer a small amount, so let's say $5. And then once you see that in the Betashares Direct, you know that the account details are obviously right, and then you can transfer the larger amount thereafter. So I've just transferred $100 into the account. So we can now see that the funds are in the account, and that's just up here in the wallet. So you can click in there and you can see that the $100 has come across. So in this case, it probably took a good few hours. That was the first time. So often once you do make a transaction for the first time, it's quicker thereafter. So if we head back, we're ready to trade. So what we do now is we can access all ASX ETFs. So that's just in here. So what we'll do is we'll type in an ETF. So in this case, we're just going to be investing in A200. So once you're here, then you can just click buy. And it's talking about fractional investing. So what that means is we have $100 to invest. You can see here that the ETF is $129 a unit. So with a normal broker, you wouldn't be able to invest $100 because you need at least $129.94. And that's outside of the $500 normal minimums. So now we say, okay, got it. And we're just going to do a market order. You can click through there, so you can do a limit order. So what that does is it kind of limits the price that you're going to pay, but it can actually be quite risky. Although it seems like it's less risky, it can be more risky because if the market's moving up and you put a limit order on something, you could actually miss that trade and then you're going to be chasing the price up. So with ETFs that are quite liquid, in that case, I'd always go a market order. So here we've just put $100 and that's going to buy us 0.7695 units. Then we just click continue. We can see here, obviously no brokerage, $100 to A200, and then we just swipe to confirm. So that order's been placed. And then if we head back to the home screen, that should happen pretty quickly. Here we can see our total ETF holdings. So here the ETF is worth 99.99, so that's probably just a little bit of the buy-sell spread involved plus market movement. So could be less, could be more over this short of a period, you never know. So then hopefully you're a long-term investor and you're not going to be clicking anytime sell, but it'd be the exact same process if you were to sell that. So now just a few other things. So now we can click into the profile, and if we want to have a look at reinvestments, So 80-100, so enable distribution reinvestment. So it's important that you do come to this section for that to automatically reinvest, because it's automatically doing it. So it can be okay for some people, but I would generally recommend not to reinvest distributions for a couple of reasons. If you're debt recycling, in that case, you're going to want all of that cash flow so you can pay down the bad debt. The other reason is there's not a great incentive other than the automation of it. It's not like you get, I guess, discounts on those additional units or anything like that. So I generally prefer to, I guess, take those funds, then you can choose where to invest that. So we've turned that off, so any of the dividend will come into your bank account. And it's important to note as well, for people who might be debt recycling, those dividends will come into this account. So if you are debt recycling, you're transferring funds over, just make sure that any funds are transferred out of here, like any distributions that they're transferred out of here before you transfer funds, just to make sure that you don't get any funds mixed up. If you're investing a large amount relative to your net worth, you may want to consider a strategy called dollar cost averaging. This involves investing over a period of time rather than all in one go. There's plenty of ways you can dollar cost average, from the amount of time it takes to do it and also the frequency of time. But here's one way you can do it. Divide your cash by 4, then invest 1 quarter today, another quarter in a month's time, another quarter in 2 months' time, and the last quarter in 3 months' time. This just spreads your risk. So if the market went down immediately, your portfolio wouldn't go down as much. Whereas if the market went up on the other side, you wouldn't gain as much. As humans, we tend to hate losses more than we enjoy gains, so it can be a useful psychological strategy to stay in the game of investing and also make the original decision to actually invest. So that's how you can invest in ETFs with Betashares Direct. If you're interested in more Australian personal finance tips, please subscribe. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.